Hello, my name is Sandy Martin on Galiano Island. I'm a longtime poet and a more recent prose writer, published in both genres. I'm currently working on a novel. It's the story of 3 generations of women in a family and how their lives intersect and overlap and influence each other over a period of 70 years. So I'm going to read you chapter 1 and 2. And I would also like to say thank you to the Galiano Library for inviting me to read in this writer's session online. So the name of the book is Blue Rain, and I'm going to begin reading. I hope you like it. Oh, and a note, I have done this video 8 or 9 times. 8 or 9 times. And every time I misread, I turn it off and start over again. So I'm thinking if I misread this time, I'm just going to try and correct it and carry on. I hope that's okay with all of you. Blue Rain, Chapter 1. My name is Blue, Blue Rain. My mama named me. It was just she and me when I was birthed into the world. I know the story of that day by heart, would ask mama to tell it to me over and over again, especially during the hard times. The times when we missed Daddy so bad that we thought we would shatter like Grandmama's crystal. And there were times over the years that I swore I could see those cracks running the length of Mama's body. On the day when my story begins, Mama was walking down the front porch stairs, garden basket and tools in hand. It was her favorite kind of day, the sun high in the sky, heating up the flat stone pathway leading to her garden. She had designed that landscape, had gathered stones for 2 whole years, stacking them in the back of the pickup, often flagging people down to help her lift them. There was a quarry a few miles down the road with one of Mama's favorite stones, bluestone, and the manager there would call her whenever they had some pieces that were perfect enough to sell to the contractors. Everyone around knew about Mama and her stones, so sometimes people would just drive up our driveway and drop them off. Mama really appreciated that. She would shape those stones on the ground like a gigantic jigsaw puzzle. Daddy had lots of tools in the workshop, and Mama learned how to use the stone cutter and sander so well that Daddy would tell her she could outstone any of the masons in town. Mama liked that. So on this day, when Mama stepped off the stairs and onto her stone path heading to her garden, and her bare feet soaked up that sunstone heat, Mama did what she always did at that moment. She said, "Hallelujah," just like that, "Hallelujah." The trellis above her was weighted with the blue wisteria in full bloom. She stood still, willing her body to absorb that perfume, wishing her pores to drink in that fragrance, so that she would always know beauty, would always be a part of such perfection. She breathed in deeply, 1, 2, 3 times. Reluctantly, she moved on, thinking of arugula and carrots and strawberries. The strawberries were at their tipping point, the sweetness of those red berries ripe and ready. Mama said she was going to eat them bare naked that evening. That meant that she would eat them freshly washed with nothing added to them, no sugar or cream or anything. When she says that, I always worry that people would think that Mama would be the bare naked one. That's when Mama's water broke. She felt the warmth running down her legs. It took her a minute to figure out what was happening. She said that she had been so immersed in flowers and berries and the magic of those things that she had momentarily forgotten about her own ripening. She stilled, willing the wave within her to quiet. It was too early and my daddy wasn't home, wouldn't be home till the end of the week. Mama didn't want to have her baby without him, didn't want to have her baby all alone. I always interrupted her story here and told her, "But you weren't alone, Mama. I was there too." That always made her smile. "Yes, you were, Blue. Yes, you were." Mama lay her sweater down on the stones under the wisteria, tried to get comfortable as she curled around it. She remembers the blue flowers above her, clustered and draping. Blue, raining all around her. And its scent so intoxicating, she didn't know if she felt faint from the flower or from her own pain. Mama's contractions began like a fist rolling through her belly, up and down her spine. I would ask her, "Why didn't you phone for help, Mama? Why didn't you phone Mr. Glenn? Why didn't you call Grandmama?" And Mama would remind me that our phone line wasn't working, that the phone company was coming the next day to fix it. The contractions came and went. The early evening air was still warm. She remembers the heat on her face. She thinks she dozed, maybe even fell asleep. But she woke with a new kind of stabbing in her back. The contractions were coming quickly. The moments of relief only brief. Mama says she could see down our long driveway and cried out, though she knew no one would hear her. Our house was tucked away, a long way from anyone. Our nearest neighbor, Mr. Glenn, was a half-hour walk away. And Grandmama was far away, living with the ocean and the mountains. My mama and daddy moved here to this tucked away place from a big city. They wanted to grow stuff, wanted to build a farm to feed ourselves and the local community. And Mama wanted to live somewhere she could wake up every morning to a big open sky. She grew up next to the mountains and always felt like she was being held just a little too tight. I was born in those dusky moments when the sun hands off to the moon and the stars turn on their lights. Mama says that the coming blackness worried her a bit, that she remembers wishing for daylight to last just a little bit longer. Mama cut the umbilical cord and settled me on her chest. She swaddled me in her sweater. She says that we lay there together for quite some time, just her and me alone together in the whole world. Mama would bury the placenta, knew that it was a power pack loaded with nutrients. She and Daddy had planted 4 weeping willow trees on the creek bank their first year at Willow Lane. Their plan had been to bury the placenta of each childbirth at the base of these trees that would grow to 40 feet tall, as much as 10 feet per year. Mama knew that the leaves had medicinal value, knew that aspirin was born in the blood of these trees, and she loved the dance of their branches in the wind, called them angel arms. She wanted those healing trees embracing Willow Lane. Mama carried me into the house and bathed me in warm water. She bathed herself, and then we slept together, me warm against Mama's chest. Daddy would be home in 3 days. Daddy never did come home, except to be buried. Chapter 2. There was a knock at our front door early the next morning. Mama would say years later that a dread accompanied her to that door, that the thought of not opening it flashed in and out of her brain like a strobe. She had just finished nursing me, and I lay asleep in the basket at her feet. Through the window, she saw 2 police officers on the porch. Mama knew one of them, Maria. She was Mama's best friend. The other officer wore a tag at his shoulder, marking him as freeway patrol. He was not a local, was not part of the police station in Highgrass. Mama says that she felt a terrible hostility toward him, this stranger at our door. She anticipated their words, knew that if she allowed them to speak, her life would turn inside out. She opened the door slowly, small bit by small bit, then slammed it shut hard and locked it. She backed into the kitchen and stood still as stone. If no one spoke, then nothing would change. 10 or 15 minutes passed. She heard footsteps on the stairs and watched the police car drive away. She finally walked to the closed door and leaned, her back rigid against the unrelenting wood. She slumped to the floor, legs stretched out in front of her. She heard Maria's voice. "Neve, we're alone now. The sergeant has gone to the station. It's just me, Neve." "I don't want you to tell me anything, Maria. I don't want to hear the words." "Okay, Neve, I get it. I'll stay right here on the porch. You let me know when you're ready." Mama says every second dragged her closer and closer to the hearing, the listening. She was in a tug of war with time, struggling to pull back into that place before the knocking. "Maria, I can't get up. I can't move. All of me can't move." "That's okay, Neve. Can you reach up and unlock the door? If you can, then I'll come inside. You don't have to move, Neve." Slowly, Mama raised her arm up to the door handle. She turned the lock. She remembers a roiling in her throat, felt its sound before she heard it. It was a pleading, a keening from somewhere long ago, from a time when the first heart broke. It took Maria many minutes to open the door wide enough to get to Mama. She pushed, the door sliding Mama along the floor, little bit by little bit. Finally in, she sank to the ground and wrapped Mama in her arms. Tell me in small words, Maria, just small words for now. Rob was killed last night on the highway. A big rig hit his truck head on. He wouldn't have suffered, Neve. Maria called Grandmama. She stayed with us till Gran arrived the next day. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you to the Galiano Library for inviting me to read. Cheers.